Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to all of you. Namaste, Assalamu alaikum. Today we celebrate World Hindi Day, which is observed every year on January 10th. So those of you who know Hindi, I'm sure you can pitch in a little word or phrase here and there to celebrate the event. Our chairperson tonight is again Dr. Kirti Algu from Suriname. She's a young graduate of Anton de Kom University of Suriname, where she works as a researcher in the Institute for Graduate Studies and Research. She obtained her PhD in 2017, having done her dissertation on interreligious relations in Suriname and Guyana. She's currently combining sports, martial arts specifically, with her academic career. I and other members of our planning team would continue to stay in the background as directors of this program. Kirti, welcome, and please chair the meeting.
Thank you, Dr. Kumar. Hi, everyone. It's nice to see you again. And since it's the World Hindi Day, आप सबको स्वागत है to this forum. That's all. Good night, good morning, and good evening. Namaste and assalamu alaikum to all of you, depending on the time zone in which you live, because there are always people in this meeting from all over the world. The COVID-19 pandemic is still rampant, as you know. Just a kind reminder, wash your hands regularly, sanitize your environment, and in public places, please keep your social distance and wear your face mask, please. Over your nose and over your mouth. We have been delighted to learn that Suriname's President, Chandrika Prasad Santokhi, and Curaçao's Prime Minister, Eugene Ruganad, have been conferred the Pravasi Bharatiya Samman Award on Saturday. The award is the highest honor given by the President of India as part of the Pravasi Bharatiya Divas to leaders of Indian origin living outside of India. We are also pleased to learn that Willie Singh, an emerging filmmaker of Trinidad, was awarded honorable mention in the International Engage Art Contest this month for his short film entitled Temptation. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a weekly forum being hosted by the Indo-Caribbean Cultural Centre, a legally registered research and publishing company operating since 2010. We are dedicated to critically exploring and discussing the most pressing issues and events that impact mainly Indo-Caribbean people in the region. We believe that they and their views are often marginal or marginalized in the mainstream media and formal discourses and in public groups, organizations, and institutions. At the same time, we must consider that there are differences by nation in the region. This forum seeks to provide voice and visibility to a group that is an ethnic minority in the Caribbean, but nevertheless still the largest ethnic minority in the English-speaking Caribbean. This meeting would end at 9 p.m. Trinidad time or 10 p.m. Suriname time or soon after, meaning it would be 1.5 hours long. Our moderator tonight is new. She is Miss Bindu Deokinath Maharaj from Trinidad. She has been a teacher for the past 23 years in Trinidad. She is a creative writer who received her Master of Fine Arts degree from the University of West Indies. Through her writings, she explores the complex existence of a woman in a Trinidadian space. Her work has been read and published in many places. Miss Bindu, please welcome and take over from here.
Good night, and thank you, Dr. Kirti Algo. That was lovely. I really enjoyed your accent, you know, with the Dutch and everything. It sounds really, really lovely. So, so tonight we're having this public meeting, as you know, and it's a lovely panel discussion, which will include selected screenings of films produced by our presenters. Now, tonight we have 3 presenters, and we all look forward because seeing Indo-Caribbean filmography being shown in a screen is something that I really look forward to. as somebody new to this platform. So I myself, as the moderator, am very much looking forward to seeing what is happening tonight. Now, also please note that all microphones should be off. If you look at the bottom of your screen to the left-hand corner, there is that microphone with mute. Just tap or press on it to ensure that we don't have that feedback which tends to distract and take away from the effectiveness of what our presentations should be. Now, our topic tonight is, as I said, it's something that I'm really looking forward to, and it's film on Indo-Caribbean identity, culture, and heritage. Now, I only learned today that, and this is true, Dr. Mahabir, that today is World Hindi Day. I did not even know that. And I'm a person who really appreciate that part of my Indianness, because my name is Bindu, right? I'm pretty, modern-ish to a large extent, but I have 3 kids, and I chose to name them all, give them all Hindi names, from the Pandit with the Rasi sound and all of that. So I have Arvind, Divya, Navesh. So knowing that today is World Hindi Day, I really feel good for myself as a parent and as an individual. So this is like, well, kudos to, referencing that today is that day. Now, Dr. Mahabir has always pointed out, right, that not many Indian parents in India and the Indian diaspora tend to lean towards the visual arts or the creative arts, the writers, the musicians, the performers, the people in theater arts and so on, art as well. We have that leaning towards the sciences, because we always have, I grew up with it myself. Once your parents thought that if you are bright enough, you should automatically do the sciences, right? So I myself did the sciences through A levels and so on. But at the end, I came back around to what really I'm passionate about and what really captured me. So tonight, we want to highlight that the creative arts, the humanities, and the social sciences, how impactful they are towards sharing the message that we have and that we should share and that we should be proud of sharing, of our ancestry, our heritages, and so on. So that as a result, as I said earlier, we have quite a limited amount of visual artists, stage performers, comedians, spoken word poets, filmmakers, directors, and actors. So tonight we are celebrating the film, in terms of that film industry. We are highlighting 3 films featuring Indian actors and characters and produced by people of Indian descent. Firstly, we have our first presenter, Dr. Perry Pola, who is a project coordinator from Trinidad at the Caribbean Network for Urban and Land Management in Trinidad. He obtained his PhD from the University of West Indies in microbiology. So you see that again, that push towards the sciences where he would have gone towards the microbiology, and look at where he's at now into the what we are celebrating here tonight. He has been an actor in theater and film and recently co-produced with Sharda Patisar his first film entitled Ganga Dhara, or Sacred Spaces. So at this time, I will welcome Dr. Perry. Remember, we have a 20-minute window. So Dr. Perry, we look forward. Welcome.
Okay, thank you very much. I would like to thank the Indo-Caribbean Cultural Centre for the opportunity to present excerpts from the film Gangadhara Sacred Spaces. As mentioned, it was co-produced with Dr. Sharda Patisar. Just as a little background to the film, Dr. Kumar Mahadeo actually was involved in some of the early discussions on the film, and it was he who actually suggested the idea of the theme Gangadhara. And he tried to put together, to make contact with Ravindranath Maharaj, which is one of the key organizers of the festival. And unfortunately, it didn't pan out, and the project was shelved for a little while. But having encountered Dr. Sharda Patasar about a year later, we began discussions, and the film started, the film came off. So we're very happy that we have the opportunity to present today. Now, the film is basically a 30-minute documentary about the origins and the survival of the Gangadhara Festival, which started about 27 years ago. The film actually covers many topics. Firstly, it's a biography of Raviji. Secondly, it explains how the Gangadhara site was found and why it was chosen as an appropriate site. It then goes on to look at the rationale and the need for a Gangadhara festival and explain some of the activities which occur there. It also provides perspectives on how sites become sacred. It looks at cultural continuity and more specifically on how cultural spaces produce other cultural spaces. It provides perspectives on the similarities between Indo and Afro-cultural traditions. In respect, we're looking at Hinduism and the Orisha tradition. And finally, it touches upon, it reflects upon identity in a multicultural society. So I've selected a few excerpts and some of the elements. So I'm hoping that these excerpts that are presented, you'll see some of the elements I've been talking about. And at this point, I'll ask for some assistance from Ravindra to show the first clip. Sacred space is permeated by a range of meanings and symbols associated with a religious belief, or is dedicated to a religious purpose, and thus worthy of great respect. So, how do sacred spaces come to be? And can they be shared by other religions or secular activities? What can we learn from sacred spaces that can help us care for public and private spaces in the secular world? This film explores these ideas by examining a range of sacred spaces in Trinidad, primarily Gangadhara, which translates into the flow of water. This one-day pilgrimage occurs at the Marianne River in the north coast of Trinidad, and a range of Hindu activities are performed there. Gangadhara is inspired by Ganga Dussehra, an ancient river festival which originated in India. Ganga Dussehra commemorates the descent of the holy river Ganges from heaven to earth. In Trinidad, this is represented by a murti carried along the path. We tell this story through the perspective of the key founder, Ravindranath Maharaj, better known as Raviji. Okay, this clip talks about Raviji's experience with his early experience with Ganga Dussehra and touches upon some of the environmental reasons why the festival might have disappeared from his rural village.
We were living in Durham Hills Road in the Montserrat ward, and we had cocoa rivers, and being Hindus, a river festival was also maintained. There were 2 different days in the year, and that's my mind, although it's very small, but it's very clear. And I assume one was Makar Sankranti and one was Ganga Dussehra, Ganga Festival. Our family came out of the cocoa and built in Caparo, but I cannot remember the festival in Caparo itself. I suggest that the reason is that that was an early indication of ecological problem, because they wouldn't go to a river that is polluted and nasty or upavitra. And it is because I experienced it in a child, I could have connected in India with it, so I want to bring back this Gangadhara, the festival.
Okay, and this clip, it occurs after they found the site 27 years ago, and it will look at the mystical and practical reasons for selecting the Gangadhara site and how it was made sacred.
All through the trip, my mind was in that place. When I come back home, I remember I just felt I had to go back. I had this great desire. So I took up the car, and without telling her where I'm going, I left her and gone. I didn't want her to stop me. So I went. When I reached there, I entered the river and I started walking up. And as I walk up and I go beyond the second bend, I think it is, something very shocking happened. I saw this place where I had a recurrent dream. All the difference was that there was a white mandir there. When you look at the place in the dream where the mandir was, it has no way that mandir could be built there. But somehow in the dream, there was a big white mandir there on that slope where the channel is right now. That dream there hooked me to the place now. The whole being of the place hooked me to the place. I don't know if it was Kartik was coming up or Ganga Dashara was coming up. And then I told the people, let's go up by this place I saw. We went to do Ganga Puja. I remember Rajmata Bhagwat being there, Maya there, Gita is there. And they form a circle, and then the ladies started dancing in the water and all, because it's very shallow and all that. So they enjoyed it, the puja, they enjoyed going out in Blanchishas and all that, and the spot. So next year now, we just followed and do it again, and it became a project. That space satisfies a few of the shastric reasons why you could have a tirat, because it becomes a pilgrimage place, a very interesting type of pilgrimage place. It must have a place of compelling natural beauty conducive to meditation and the rituals, and must be a river by a river makes it a tirat.
In our tradition, all sites are sacred. The earth is my altar, and every part is sacred to us. Most ancient traditions, they had deities to the earth, deities to the water, deities to the sky and the mountains, and thunder and lightning and so on. So everything was regarded as sacred. And so he decided that we should probably consider making this a pilgrimage site. He communicated with a Swami from India who a year later brought water and soil from 2,000 sacred sites in India, and we embedded that in the bedrock there 1 year later, 25 years ago, with puja and all the necessary rituals, and it was then declared a sacred site. And we come here annually to celebrate the Ganga Dashra festival.
We offer a space for people coming together to do different types of sanskaras and rituals, rites and rituals and pujas that we need to do and function throughout the year, and that our Hindu calendar demands. Gangadhara started. One of the things that was missing there was a waterway to do the sanskar, Mundan sanskar. So we offer a space for it there. In the water itself, we have the Ganesh motif because we start our worship with Ganesh. Tulsi Ghat. Why Tulsi are composed of one? Ganga Puja, that's where the puja is done proper. And then on the other side, we have the place where the pravachan, the talks, the discourses are given.
We have to give due respect and dignity to the nows who serve us, especially when there is no fee attached. And these are the people we really have to celebrate in our communities because it is so important.
There's only one, what we call Ori, or consciousness in the world. Hindu came out of a situation, right? We came out of another situation. The native people came out of a situation called by many different names. But we all tap in to the one source that is life, that is consciousness, that is intelligent, that intelligent being, and the form of it. So that is why I say many of the deities similar.
The river is sacred in my belief system as in the Hindu belief system. We call her Oshun, and so when I come to give respect to Ganga Mai, I give respect to Oshun.
What's very interesting is that when we decided to give the award to them, we were a little worried about how our people would react. Because here was this very Hindu sacred Ganga thing. And we now invite in a Shango thing, and the concept of people about Shango and all of that misconception as it is. We were worried, Geeta and I, but we wouldn't stop. We made it. And that day I realized that we had to give our people a little more credit than we really give our people, because we assume certain things. Our organization never make a big issue of it, but we work to do what we feel is right. So we have an inclusion thing that everybody is included, and therefore women also. This is why it was natural for me not to keep out women in my training, even in the traditional aspects, and then hand over to who I thought is best of my students, a woman.
Raviji has always been very strict and a disciplinarian. Not that I am not, but I think my mood is different, my manner is different, and approaching, talking to people, interacting with people, maybe they feel comfortable talking to a female, especially since the deity connected to Gangadhara is also Ganga Mata, a female.
When I went to India, I was introduced to something called Shakha. Somebody's in charge and you gather children and you play with them. And then they learn drills, they learn about Hinduism, the issue about regularity, punctuality, and all of those kind of things. All of these things that constitute human sanskar are integrated in Shakha. But to have an organized society is a dream of that. What that helped me do is that, first, that was a radical thing to go and get involved in when I thought, because I go in, I see myself as a pandit. From small, I was expected to be a pandit, and therefore my training supposed to fulfill that. they were having us outside and we played. I realized in time what I was coming conscious of was more the Hindu community rather than puja and katha and jandi. So it was an introduction to social organization and our place in the cosmos of people and our history and all those kind of things. And that has shaped me very much, because in many ways I stand outside it, in very deliberate my work, outside the traditional world. And this is why I say, who am I? And this is a problem what Trinidad has. I am a Hindu, unapologetically. I'm an Indian without apology, and I'm a Trini without apology. And no Indian or Hindu must ask me to be less a Trini to be a Hindu or Indian. And no Trini must ask me to be less a Hindu and Indian than to be a Trini.
And that ends the presentation.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Peripola from Trinidad. No, that was lovely. I don't know about questions from the audience, but I personally have some questions for you. So
Sure.
we'll do that at the end of all the presentations. So our second presenter tonight is from Suriname. Now, Suriname, like Trinidad, like Guyana, has, although we have been termed in the introduction as a minority, but we are like a major minority, and as in terms of the Indo-Caribbean populace. So just like Trinidad, so too is Guyana, and so too is Suriname in terms of that population representation. Now, we have tonight a very wonderful man. He's extraordinary. His name is Ivan Tai-Apin, right? And he's a national swimming champion and a basketball youth champion in Suriname. What? Sporty, that's cool. In his younger years, he went to the Netherlands to study industrial engineering. In 2018, he directed and produced his first debut film, Wiren. That's the correct pronunciation, sir? Right. Which became the first Surinamese film to be featured on Netflix. Like that's like a real big thing here when you talk about it, Netflix, right? And last year, same movie was accepted to compete for an Oscar award. So when I said he's an extraordinary man, this brief bio in itself says what that extraordinary man is about. So just remember, we have a 20-minute window, and we all look forward for our audience. Please keep, make note of your questions. We'll have a question and answer segment afterwards. And at that time also, you will be invited to, if you don't want to ask publicly, you can share your questions on the chat. Okay, so Dr. Mr. Ivan Tai-Apin, welcome.
Yes, thank you, Bindu. Thank you. First of all, I would like to thank Dr. Mahabir for contacting me to be part of this beautiful, this great project, and to talk about my Wiren and my experience, etc. I would like to ask Rabinder to put up the first slide. Yes, so as you can see, I have a Chinese last name because my great-great-grandfather came from China and my great-great-grandmother came from India, and they met here. They came on a boat. And from my mother's side, she's Creole and mixed and also Caucasian, European. So I'm totally mixed, and all people here in Suriname, there are a lot of people who are mixed, and we are a diverse country with all kinds of people from all ethnicities, and that's what makes Suriname Suriname. I was born here, and on my 21st year of age, after college, I went to Holland to study business engineering. During my study period, I discovered that I wanted to do what my heart went to, and that was entertainment. I wanted to do everything with entertainment, so I took courses in theater and also film courses in acting. And after that, I worked as an acting coach on different film sets and made theater plays in Holland. In 2011, I always made a promise with myself. I want to go to Suriname and help build my country. So I came back in 2011 and started theater school and giving lessons in acting. And in 2016, I started my own casting company. and giving camera acting lessons. You can go to the next slide. Thank you. So, in 2016, I started with my debut featured film. I was approached by the Surinamese Deaf Foundation, and they asked me, Mr. Ivan, we see that you make a lot of theater plays, and they are out of the box, so you won't reject us. So I went to the meeting, and they said they wanted to do a creative project with me. I didn't know the sign language. So through their interpreter, Ms. Rosita Etnel, they talked with me and they said they want to do a creative project because they are living in on an island and they are very isolated in Suriname. So they wanted to do a project. So I gave them 2 weeks to come with an idea. And the first person, the chair, said to me, Mr. Ivan, the project, we have to focus on integration, participation, and acceptation of deaf people in Suriname. And he spoke and he said, yeah, he wants to do something with nature because deaf people have a certain kind of relationship with nature. And then the second person, Sherida, told me they were walking on Avondvierdaagse, that's a certain carnival in Suriname. And she told me, Mr. Ivan, we don't walk anymore because when we walk, people yell a lot of things at us, and they didn't like that, discrimination things. So that was already something what I said, oh, this is something to think about, to put in a creative project so that the audience can relate and can change that. But then I came to the third person, and that was Wiren Megu. And Wiren said, Mr. Ivan, I want to study ICT at the university, but I cannot. So I looked at the interpreter and I asked her, how come? Do deaf people cannot go to the university? And the interpreter said, Mr. Ivan, I think you've stayed too long in Holland. No, deaf people cannot go to the university in Suriname. And the highest they can go is like high school, but a level under that, you can say. So I thought that this was really a story to tell. And now you're going to look at the trailer, and after that, I'll come back. So we can go to the next slide. The sound.
De zaak van de heer Wiren Jagisser tegen de rechtsstaat Suriname.
Wiren is special. He's deaf, but he still enjoys his life.
So why isn't he in school?
A deaf boy in school in Suriname? In Nikeri?
Can we do something about that?
Wiren Jagisser doet een beroep op het internationaal verdrag dat Suriname heeft geratificeerd in 2007.
The Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities is an international human rights treaty intended to protect the rights and dignity of persons with disabilities.
Ik ben zuster Anita en ik ga jullie een rondleiding geven. Goed luisteren, want ik herhaal niet praten met je mond. Hoi? Als je dat ziet doen, gaan ze je straffen.
Kom op, hoger! Hoger! Kom op!
Say?
No, we don't do that inside. The Gabartal, whatever.
Who said?
Yes, yes. So that's a part of the...
whatever.
Hoe zeg je? Waarom? Op 2 keer. Waarom?
Ze must habla. Ze must taki. De piche moest leven taki met their lips.
Dove wil zich inschrijven. Op de universiteit.
Jij mij ook dom vinden. Nee, Wiren, jij mooi.
Wiren dat gelul moet ophouden. Stoppen. Nu.
Dit betekent dat elk kind in Suriname recht heeft op een gelijkwaardige behandeling. Ik roep naar voren de heer Wiren Jagisser.
This is Suriname. Things don't change that easy.
So this was the trailer. I hope you enjoyed it. You can go to the next slide. This is the crew, the people from the crew. Next to me on the right is Sander Komo, who is the director of photography. I wrote the script with Sander, and after we wrote the script, he focused on the cam position and I focused on the screenplay, and every week we came together and then we discussed the drama in combination with the camera positions. It was a crew of, in total, I think like 30 people. We had location managers. We had actually everything what you have on a European or an American film set. All specializations were or are there in Suriname, and this is the whole crew. We even had 2 interpreters also for the sign language because you know, it was really different. It was not only acting, but also some people had to learn the sign language. It was an integration between deaf people and also hearing people. The next slide. Yes, I got inspired by Wiren Megu. Wiren is deaf. And so, as I told you, his dream is to study at the university, ICT. And we went through a whole traject with Wiren in Suriname. We did a lot. And also he got a certain scholarship to go to Holland to study after the movie came out. And he did a 3-month course in Holland at the college in Groningen, the Netherlands. And after that, he came back to Suriname, but we'll talk about that, I think, after the presentation. Yes, the next slide. The casting process. It was a really different casting process because deaf people and hearing people were combined together. On the bed, you can see Altaf Khan Donre. Altaf Khan is also deaf. And the auditions were really different than other auditions I did because there was an interpreter and also the cameraman, and we were with a team of 3 people because this was not only filmmaking, but telling the story of deaf people and from their point of view. I also asked the interpreter to give me advice on, okay, does this feel real? I even had to learn the basic sign language to guide him. The auditions were not individual auditions as you see on TV a lot, but there were group auditions because I had to see at the auditions how people could interact with each other. The next slide, thank you. Yes, now you're going to look at behind the scenes. This is in Nikeri. That's a border district in Suriname where a lot of Hindustani people live. And it's our rice district. It's our border district next to Guyana. Yes, you can play the behind the scenes. The sound.
Sound, Ravin, sound.
Yes, the sound, Robin.
Maybe he's not getting the sound. Up, the sound.
I cannot.
Yeah, something is wrong with the sound. But
The
we have,
sound.
yeah.
Even minus the sound, the cinematography is excellent. So we can
Okay.
even hear.
Then maybe I'll tell the story. This is in the,
Yeah.
this is in district Nikeri. We went for 2 weekends. This is a scene on the marketplace, and even the Mark Fenters, they were acting. So we gave them a coaching process, and they liked it to also play in the movie. This is the smallest Wiren running here, Rafe Leisner. He isn't deaf. He had to learn playing deaf. And we had makeup artists. This is the Surinamese flag, of course. And our artist department did a great work. Michiel Komau had the lead of the artist department, and the location manager was Chantal Rijker with Dino Kappel. They did their utmost best. This is Chantal Rijker, and this is at the school scenes. We even cast a boy who was living in Ikeri as the best friend of the young Wiren. And he did also training for 2 days. So he also played a big role in the movie. Yeah, the weather wasn't always great, but we still focused on our goal. So we did our best, and we could film all the scenes we had to film. There was one scene we had to film twice, but still we managed it. As you can see, we also had a great time on the set because we were working very, I think maybe for 8 to 10 hours, but still we enjoyed it because, you know, filmmaking is also to enjoy. But when we are filming the scenes, we were really serious and everybody was totally focused. All these crew members, which you see, have worked on different film sets around the world, but also in Suriname, because a lot of Dutch films the last 10 years were filmed in Suriname, and then the crew could learn on those sets. So it was so powerful to work with these people because they were already focused and they already knew how a international film set works. Yes, we can go to the next slide. This film was made for 80,000 euro. A lot of filmmakers cannot believe it, even when I told in other interviews, the interview of Netflix, because they said, like, how did you guys do this for 80,000 euros? We estimated that we should have made this film for maybe $1 or $1.5 million dollars, but you know, we don't have that kind of money in Suriname. So everybody, the actors, the crew members, everybody worked for nearly like 20% for the normal amount, because you know we are a third world country and the everything is very expensive in Suriname. But we said this is a beautiful story and we want to give it all, and this is a story which we want to tell. So this is the first Suriname movie which was made with 100% from people in Suriname. Yes, we can go to the next slide. So after we had our premiere in Suriname, we sent our movie to the Dutch Film Festival. And we got selected by the Netherlands Film Festival. And that's a prestigious film festival in Europe. So we had a premiere there. That's the first picture on top. We were also selected for the DBOF Film Festival in Amsterdam, the Bounce Urban Film Festival, which focuses more on urban films and from third world countries with different ethnicities. The picture below is a picture because we were also invited by the IDB Bank, International Development Bank in Washington, and they screened our film, and it was in combination with disability people. It was on Disability Day in December. And also Juan Pablo Salazar was also one of the people. He's a human rights activist for people with disabilities. Yes, we can go to the next slide. After we did these festivals, I approached in Holland different distributors. And the first one called me and said, Ivan, we want to talk with you because we saw the trailer and come over. So I went to them and we sat down and we discussed the whole marketing of Wiren. And they invited all kinds of streaming platforms to look at the movie so they could select it to play on their platforms. Wiren is now playing, we have a Benelux contract, that's a Belgium, Holland, Luxembourg contract. Wiren is now available in Holland on Netflix and also other streaming platforms in the Benelux. It's also available on Amazon Prime, the Dutch version, and from next week, it will be also available over the whole world, and that's a premiere you got, but it's gonna be also available on Amazon Prime from I think Monday or Tuesday next week, in the English version with English subtitles. Yes. The next slide.
Okay. Before you go on to the next slide, Ivan, it's beautiful tracking the journey of Wiren. So I'm giving you like 2 minutes again. Can you try to wrap up with it?
We are finished, yeah.
No problem. Thank you.
So this is a teaser which we used as a crowdfunding campaign, and I want to show you the teaser. Yes. Oh, the sound. Oh, there's something wrong with the sound, I think.
So apparently.
I think we just want to hear your narrative skills here, you know.
Okay,
so,
this is a
yeah,
teaser which
possibly
we
that's
used
it.
for the crowdfunding because we did the crowdfunding. The whole of Suriname worked on the crowdfunding, and that were companies but also individuals. We organized events, parties, and we also did the crowdfunding online from foreign countries. So 95% of the budget of Wiren came from people from Suriname. The last 5% came from people around the world, especially the Netherlands. The next slide, I think it's the end. Yes, we are now officially selected. The Surinamese selection committee, 6 people who are now sitting in that committee, famous Surinamese people, selected our film to send to the Academy, and the Academy accepted our film. So we are now very, very happy that our film got selected and is now official in the 100 list. And we are hoping that everybody, you know, you never know, maybe we get nominated, but the whole journey doing this project was like already like a present for me and for Suriname. So we are still hoping for the best with Wiren at the Oscars. And yeah, the next slide. And that's the last one.
Okay, so thank you, Ivan.
Follow me on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram. Thank you for this presentation.
Okay. Now, congratulations on so many levels in terms of your film and where you're going. One thing before I move on to our other presenter, you said when it was raining and so on, you had to film and make do. I don't buy that at all. You've been nominated for an, you know, top 100 for an Oscar. You're on Netflix. So making do, that's just you underplaying it. So congratulations. And we'll take some questions. I'm sure our audience, we do have a lot of questions. So thank you again. So our final presenter tonight is, you're welcome. So our final presenter tonight is Mr. Mahadeo Shivraj. And he is also from, well, he's from Guyana. And he has produced about 100 stage plays, which he directed, and he was an actor himself. He also produced, he directed, and acted in 8 movies. And he has also made appearances in American mainstream television shows and cinematic movies. Mahadeo will refer to screen trailers of 3 of his films, and later on, again, audience, we will take questions. So welcome, Mr. Shivraj.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Mahabir, for inviting me. Thank you, Bindu. And before I miss the opportunity, Mr. Tai-Apin, I want to wish you multi-million times success, and I hope that your film wins the award at the Oscars. I really hope so.
Thank you.
Right, so it's 3 trailers now, the 3 trailers of by Mahadeo Shivraj, back to back. Ravian.
आँखों से नींद खो जाए, रह रह के याद सताए, तन्हाई बढ़ती जाए, तो समझो मेरे यार, तुम्हें हो गया है प्यार। आँखों से नींद खो जाए, रह रह के याद सताए।
We need change. The sugar industry will never fail.
Sugar is finished. Government killed it.
They tricked us, Morty. Joku tricked us.
Politicians are like that, Ram.
You're declining a job that pays high commission?
I'm responsible for your wife leaving you. She left me for an old man who promised you a good life in America.
How much will this extra special prayers cost, Pandit?
Then make your donation in US dollars.
Come tonight and let me see if you can oil this curvaceous machine.
तुझे देख के मैं कितनी आहें भरूं, अब तू समझे ना तो मैं क्या करूं, मेरी जान बेपनाह मैं तुझ पे मरूं।
Before the elections, you promised us 20% increase in salary. Instead, you delivered 100% unemployment.
The American oil company is here to deliver us to the promised land.
So why can't you deliver us some jobs?
8 years now and he couldn't get her pregnant.
Don't blame my son if your daughter had defective eggs.
Do you think we'd have a good life with oil, Ram?
Money is not everything. That oil can pollute the waters and kill all the fish.
The oil company bribed the negotiators with chicken feed and took the hog of the oil.
How do you know all of this, Arjun?
I know how they con and bribe the way. They find out what they want and give the money to the relatives.
Money is money. And now, oil is money. This situation is getting out of control.
But what if a foreign reporter starts to investigate and connect the dots?
Our oil deals will be very slippery.
A lot of high officials are going to be compromised.
More dangerous by the minute.
So you pay people off so you could get your way?
Money is the name of the game. We have some big people in the government on our payroll.
Is your family at home, Minister? I want them to witness something.
But why are you here?
Payback. If I shoot you, I have. If I let you live, you or the police will kill me. So what do I have to lose?
ना कोई पता ना कोई ठिकाना
Policemen are supposed to be punctual.
That's the catch in the game. We arrive late to deceive the criminal.
I want you to do something for me.
What?
Tell my father you've changed your mind. You can't marry me.
No, I cannot do that.
Drink again today, eh? You rum sucker!
I can't marry a man like Govin.
You have to pretend all is well and go through the motion.
Why?
We're in a very dangerous game. Any slip we make, we can fall.
I sense something strange in Nitu's behavior.
It's a gardener working on the botanical gardens.
How can she be so stupid to fall in love with a guy like that?
You have to help me, Neat. I'm not going back there. The man is trying to kill me.
He's convinced Pa that you're imagining things and you're having dangerous illusions.
That's not true. I'm having no illusions. Something terrible has happened to me. And if I tell anyone, that will be the end of all of us.
I know I'm obligated to you, but you have to listen to me.
I won't listen to you!
Can I see you tomorrow?
I'm always here.
You are a bigger rat than she is. I think you're the one who want to kill her.
I don't think we should send her back.
She must come with us.
She will not go. The two of you, get out of here.
One slip you make and that's it. If you tell anyone your story, I will ruin your father.
Please don't do anything to hurt my father.
I want if you keep your mouth shut.
I won't tell anyone.
Charandas from Sicily with love. August 15th, 1987.
You'll have time enough to read and say goodbye. Now you're mine, you're not going anywhere.
You are the one I'm dreaming of. You caught me in your web of love.
So you better get packing soon. These premises will be under new management.
Well, you tell your liar that this house was bought with my sweat, and you and your sweet man wouldn't get a taste of it. Now get out of here and go to your low life.
You don't know? Women in America does always end up with a bigger half in a divorce.
Hey baby, come with me. Take my
How much times I must tell you, John, not to call me antique man? You just make it sound like auntie man.
He only looks at the food. He doesn't know that he has to eat it.
Sometimes he recognizes you in an instant. And then suddenly all is lost in the darkness of his mind.
Pa.
Why would you want to take your life? Are you God?
हम थे जिनके सहारे वो हुए ना हमारे.
Your mother took out a restraining order on me. You think that is right?
That's none of my business.
Guyana is like a flowing river, Mr. Das. People come and go. Morning they are in Guyana, midday in Suriname, and by midnight they dance in samba in Brazil.
जिंदगी का सफर है ये कैसा सफर.
You going to Marriott?
They got Marriott Hotel there?
But what bring you to Anna Regina, Mr. Tony? You got friends or family in Essequibo?
Okay, if that's the way you feel, you can keep your rice land.
Stop, Vishnu.
Give this to her, Pritam. Let her do what she wants to do. Let her know that that child is not a chance.
नीले गगन के तले धरती का प्यार भले.
Don't insult me like that.
Valmiki, you're my zindagi, and I love you.
I deliver the Minister of Health himself.
If I tie you up, Mr. Tony, I tie you up like a goat.
Why did you lie to me, Sushila?
I thought you were leaving.
Is there anything I can do to help your family?
Yes, leave this place and forget that you ever came.
911? Please, send someone right away. It's my husband. He's trying to assault me.
जाने कहाँ गए वो दिन कहते थे.
Okay, so Mr. Shivraj, that was really, really well done. There was a sense of nostalgia in it. Especially like the first one where you started off with the singing, Brown Sugar. It made me remember my Ajah, listening to him play his albums, his records and stuff when I was still listening to Muhammad Rafi and stuff and like that. It was really lovely.
Thank you. Well, coming from Guyana, you know, the Indian people in Guyana, we have our roots in India, and so I've made movies without songs, and even though people like them, when they come out, they're like, man, it was good, but I miss the song and dancing, you know. So actually, the reason I did it was really to please people, but going forward, I've kind of changed that a bit. So my movies will tend to be a bit different now.
Okay. All right. So thank you. And just hold right there because we are going to take questions now. So at this point, let me remind our audience, if you have any questions, everybody should keep their mics off until you have a question. Please identify yourself by your name and the country in which you come from. And then you can ask, direct your questions, please. Anybody wants to start off? If not, I have tons of questions, you know, so.
Okay, my name is Vishnu Mahadeo, and my questions really is to first applaud those two filmmakers, but to now ask of them, what plans do they have to engage the younger diaspora in terms of reaching them with their film?
Okay, thank you, Vishnu. Can you just tell me what country you're from? I don't think I got that.
Me, I got deported from Guyana to America.
Oh, you got deported from Guyana to America. Okay. All right. So in terms of the three presenters here tonight, who would like to go first? In terms of what the question is, what is being put in place for that catchment of the younger generation and what is going to happen next?
Well, if I may say, I'm not too sure what Vishnu was referring to, whether it was in terms of who the movies will meet or in terms of casting, if he meant younger actors. But for each film, there are different requirements, and depending on the need, that's how you will cast. That's first thing. Secondly, sometimes I think there's a misconception. Like when I did my first Brown Sugar movie, not this last trailer you saw, but there's a one before that. A lot of older people thought that the young people will not understand because it's way back in Guyana. Strange enough, I screened the movie in Schenectady, upstate New York. And all the young people from 16 years down lined up to wait for an autograph and to say how much they enjoy the movie and how much of a learning experience it is. So I think parents sometimes think they make their judgment for the kids thinking that they won't understand, but actually the kids have their own minds and they see things differently.
Okay, thank you. Ivan, now in my perspective, you are already being showed on Netflix. So by Netflix, being on Netflix, you already have a catchment, and like my kids are on Netflix, my nieces, nephews, and my students. So just using that platform, you will be able to reach if the question that Vishnu
Yes.
raised just now. So any other question before I propose some questions to you all as well?
Well, I'd like to respond to the original question, which was, what are the plans for the diaspora? Now, I've previously been an actor, and I'm new to filmmaking. So I'm taking this opportunity to try to network with people who are interested in doing productions. Because there are a lot of people who, like myself, you know, they would like to do something like that, but for whatever reason, we don't actually get off the ground and do it. And having gone through this experience, I understand the technology, what it is now, and it's there, and people have skills, and it's just to connect people together to bring off a project. And one thing I admire about the Chinese, and I saw this in a documentary, is when they're building buildings, the workers don't always get paid during the course of the construction. Now, this is what I saw in a documentary. I don't know if it's true, but they get paid after they're fed and, you know, get a minimum something. So I think we need to have a new model of working together, whereby we just try to work together and get a product out there. And then we can see how it can have remuneration, or even use the new methods like Tai-Apin mentioned, crowdfunding and other mechanisms to try and bring people to become part of a production, even if they're not physically contributing ideas, even if they're part of the crowdfunding campaign or helping you advertise the campaign. You know, we can make these very participatory approaches to filmmaking, which will involve the younger diaspora.
Okay, thank you. Is there any other question? Come on, there's so much that we can ask. Okay, so while we're waiting on some other questions to come up, I want to ask Mr. Pola about that whole hybridization of the Orisha and the Hindu festival that happened there, because as a Hindu from Trinidad, I'm very familiar with Kartik celebrations. Now, that was even something that I was familiar with as a child. What kind of parallels can be made, Mr. Pola, based on that hybridization? I like that hybridization part of it. Mm-hmm. What can you tell us about that?
Well, to start with, as I mentioned, this is a biography of Raviji. So this is part of his experience. So, and as I mentioned in the film, while I was discussing the excerpts, he was at the early days of Gangadhar, probably like the second or third year, he did realize that there were other people with similar traditions. And he did approach the Orisha, and because they had a similar festival. And he's always taken the opportunity to try and understand other people's religious beliefs. So in essence, what the conclusion was, it's not the same religion. It's not that we're saying Gangamai and Oshun are the same, not at all. What we're saying is that there are similar traditions in that Hindus and the Orisha, they pay respect in different ways. For example, you're paying respect, you acknowledge water and the value of it, and you're paying respect to God through by acknowledging Gangamai or acknowledging Oshun. So we're not saying that it's the same religion, but it is the same pattern of worship. And I think we really have to go out there and look at people's different religious beliefs and try to understand how they approach it and find the similarities, because too often we find the differences and we look for conflict when we should be looking for similarities and building bridges. And that is one of the reasons why the Orisha does play a prominent role. It wasn't shown in the excerpt. Even though the film is called Gangadhara Sacred Spaces, we do spend a little time on the Orisha looking at some of their sacred spaces. There's the Pali, and there's a part in it where one of the Orisha priests is explaining, you touch your head, you touch your navel before you enter, the Pali, just similar that when before the river festival, you go to Gangamai, you have to pay your respects before you go into the river. So there are a lot of little parallels that we can see, and it's all about respect. So I think that is the important thing one of the important points that can be drawn from our film.
Okay.
I would like to
you.
respond to that.
Sure.
My name is Devanand Bhagwan, and I'm from Guyana. First of all, today is World Hindi Day, I guess, so I'll speak a little bit of Hindi. Namaskar, Assalamu alaikum. मैं यीशु मसीह का भक्त हूँ. I'm a follower of Jesus Christ. Okay, and Haji, मैं पक्का हिंदुस्तानी हूँ. I'm an Indian. All right, so yeah, so I'm just taking up from where Perry has left off. Yeah, I love my Indian culture. Okay, भारतीय संस्कृति बहुत बहुत बढ़िया है, अच्छा लगता है. All right, I love it, and so I just want to. I have appreciated what Perry has just said, and I think it's important to recognize the plurality, the mosaic of Hindustanism. Okay, I'm Hindustani hu. I'm an Indian, and so I really appreciate the different expression of what it is to be Hindustani.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Bhagwan. Right. Okay, so I'm seeing some very prominent people who I know can really tackle some solid questions here. So I'm seeing Dr. Patricia Mohammed amongst us here. Dr. Mohammed, can I ask upon you to throw something out, or can I propose a question to you? I know that you are in the at UWI and all of that.
Of course.
Is there one thing you would like to talk about firstly before I decide to?
No. I actually came on late, so I missed some of the very good presentations, and I absolutely loved what I saw already. So please feel free to just throw a question.
Okay, great. What I wanted to in Mr. Ivan's film, he spoke about the people with hearing disabilities, but I don't know, did you see that trailer, or you came in after that?
I also lost connection for a while.
Okay.
So
Okay. All right. I really appreciate your presence here, and that you were late, but you still came, and that's excellent. What can you say though about the comparison? Because when I was looking at those 3 trailers from Mr. Shivraj, there was so much similarities to me and what I know of Trinidad in terms of the sugar industry and that running theme of corruption. I saw that there was this running theme of corruption in there. What can you comment on in terms of a similarity in our history?
For me?
I think the sorry, would you like to answer first, Mr. Ivan?
You can go ahead. You can go ahead. After you, I'll go.
Right. No, I'm really just throwing out stuff here, and I'm no expert on anything.
Okay.
No, I think let me just say one of the things I saw was not so much from Ivan's films, but from the other gentleman was that resonance with Bollywood.
Yes.
Which was really lovely in the sense that I think both the whole spectrum of how we make films on the Indo-Caribbean populations and so on will of necessity be pulling from those streams, either, both a Western, quote unquote, Hollywood, independent cinema and Bollywood stream. So, it reflects both. Your question has to do, I think, with what are the themes that we deal with as filmmakers. And I had responded to Professor David, saying about the limits we have in producing films that are really grand. If we want to, for years I've been wanting to make a film on indentureship, and I'd actually started, a script and just been stymied like everyone else in how to move this from even a concept into actual film. And filmmaking is a really, really difficult, time-consuming and major funding exercise. So I admire people who go into it. But some of the themes will, of course, interest us. And in the sense that one of the things it will do is it will bring together some of the issues that have faced us collectively as post-migrant Indians in the Caribbean. So, but there are differences. There are differences between in the the struggles in Guyana and in Trinidad, and even that needs to come out, because those differences have to do with how they shaped the politics in each of the islands as well, and territories as well. So I'll stop there now. I don't want to.
Okay, thank you. So Ivan,
yes,
talk to us about that othering, being othered because of your disabilities,
yes.
and the journey of the underdog.
Yeah. I saw the first speaker movie too, and you talked about corruption. But in Wiren, I didn't put corruption to the front, but because in all our societies, it's mostly about politics. But I think in Wiren, I put a character in, and that's the father of his wife, which is very in the you can say the status quo of Suriname, of the people of Suriname, and he's an antagonist in the movie, and you can see that there is a clash between tradition and modernity, because also the youth of the disability youth, they want to change their way of living. They don't want to be on an island because they already have Netflix and YouTube, where they see that in other countries, people with disabilities can do the same things as people without disabilities. But what the problem is for people with disabilities, especially in Suriname, is that the how do you say, the people, the older people do not understand their way of thinking, and also their way of developing. So I think it's a little bit, it's not political, but there is still a lack of knowledge how to engage these people in society. And that's not only with people with disabilities in our country, but also with other minority groups.
Yes. Okay, thank you very much.
Can I ask a question, Mrs. Pindu?
Go ahead, Mr. Burex.
Yes, so Leon Brins from Suriname. And I have a question for my countryman from Ivan. Ivan, what do you think the 2 or 3 factors were that your movie is so predominant now on Netflix and even other international forums? What was the key to that success? Was it marketing? Was it the story? Was it, I don't know, of course, your maybe your own charisma? Could you give us an insight into that?
Yes, of course. I would say the main focus was also the subject. The subject, it's about disabilities. It's about people who are fighting for their rights and they want acknowledgement. They want to be treated the same way you and I do in society. So I think now, nowadays, in Hollywood and all over the world, minority groups get attention. And in 2016, when I started, I, actually I didn't know that the focus would be now really on disabilities, because all Netflix films are with disability people and also minority groups. So I think that that was one of the strongest points. But also, I think the marketing. So as you said, the marketing, because what I see, I'm now 11 years back in Suriname, is that people lack the knowledge to how to network, how to present themselves, how to network, how to talk, how to entertainment is a business. You know, it's not like, okay, we make something nice and we're gonna show it. No, it's a real business. And how do you get engaged in that business? But also the market, the Caribbean film market. I don't know about other Caribbean countries, but it's still small. So I had to promote my film through other markets. And I lived in Europe, so I knew the markets also in Europe a little bit. So that was my thinking. I think my advantage point. But also filmmaking. I think a lot of people underestimate how much work it is needed to make a film. Actors should be trained. Actors should know Shakespeare. Actors should know Stanislavski. There are certain theater forms and text comprehension, and also text, the way text is written. So I think that if we invest more in knowledge for young people, how to make film in a structured way, then we could create our own Caribbean film market and rival with the South American market, or also with the European market. So I think that collaboration is really needed. And maybe because I've lived in Holland and in Europe, that I have a little bit of, how do you say, voorsprong? A little bit of, I'm ahead of other people in Suriname.
Yes.
Yes, I'm ahead. Yes. Yes, that's it.
Okay. All
Okay,
right.
so you're going to create a Kerry Wood. Okay, fine, that's good.
Caribbean wood. You never know.
Okay, thank you. Our final question or comment goes to Dr. Davidine. Dr. Davidine. Yes, I'm seeing your hands up, so go ahead, please.
Maybe his mic, he's not aware that his mic
Possibly
is on.
you need to unmute your mic because your cameras are not on, so I can't see.
Yeah, I think I'm unmuted, have I?
Okay, I'm hearing you here.
Oh,
Go ahead.
wonderful.
Lovely.
Thank you so much. And I must thank Kumar for doing all of this, yes? Can I just say very briefly, everything is about money. And many people in the Caribbean, filmmakers, have been working to make films on, documentary films on in Indo-Caribbean experience on a shoestring, yes? And on a shoestring, you're not going to do, it's hard to do a quality documentary. I must say to you that something wonderful is happening now. A British company headed by a Mauritian filmmaker are now making a full feature film on indentureship, a love story like a Romeo and Juliet story, a kind of Hollywood story. And they're making it now in Mauritius. Yes, it'll be the first full feature film on indentureship. And they've raised, obviously they're a professional company, and they've raised quite a few £1 million to do this. Because at the end of the day, if you have to make a proper film, an indentureship, you need to raise millions. Yes, this is happening now, and I'm so pleased to tell you this, because it will be a template for any future efforts that we make in the Caribbean to do full-length feature films. That's all I have to say. Thank you. The film is called Prisoners of Paradise. So if you Google Prisoners of Paradise, you'll know the 200 people involved: the writers, the producers, the directors, the gophers, the post-production company. They have a lot of money just to do the full proper film.
Okay. Okay, thank you, Mr. Davidine. Now, unfortunately, we've come to the end of our presentation and our question and answer segment. However, on a personal level and on behalf of Dr. Mahabir and I as well, I have profound respect for the work, not just of the 3 presenters tonight, but also of Dr. Kirti as well. It gives me hope. It gives me some sort of encouragement and validation as well. I mean, commendations to the strides that you all have made and will continue making. And I will surely be looking at all the films and making sure my kids and the younger generation also look at it and understand what is the underlying stories behind these things. So thank you very much. And at this time, I will pass back on to Dr. Kirti. Dr. Kirti. So I will say good night. Good night, everyone. Dr. Kirti.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Miss Bindu. Lokinat Maharaj from Trinidad. You did a wonderful job. Thank you for being an excellent moderator.
Oh.
Audience. Sorry?
Thank you. That was a little blush. Yeah.
Audience, thank you all for taking the time to participate. Thanks especially to the presenters. Thanks to the advisory and planning team led by Dr. Mahadeo. This is a team effort directed by people in the Indian diaspora. Dr. Tara Singh from New York, Brian Rampal from California, Kashraj from Florida, Cliff Rajkumar from Canada, Jai Sears from Grenada, Ravi Deo from Guyana, Satsubdeo from Trinidad, Leon Brunning, Sadhana Mohan, Vanita Ramnath, and Deo Sharman from Suriname, and many others. And also, let's not forget our IT tech guy behind the scene, Ravin Ram Singh. As I have said before, this public meeting is being hosted by Indo-Caribbean Cultural Centre. Feel free to contact ICC to publish your books, magazines, and reports. Our regular series of meetings will continue next Sunday night at 7:30, Trinidad Atlantic Time, 8:30 Suriname time. We will continue to discuss a variety of current topics. Please feel free to suggest a topic for discussion. You may also wish to organize an entire panel, or you may want to offer yourself to be a presenter or discussant on a panel. This platform is ours, just as it is yours. Send us your email address and WhatsApp number to continue to build our database. Please note our tentative topic next Sunday night is entitled The Trinidad's Government Plan to Abolish the CEA Exam and the Concordant Agreement. If you do not get an invitation from us for our Sunday public meetings, you can also go direct to the Facebook page of the Indo-Caribbean Cultural Centre and view the program live. This way, you do not need a Zoom link user ID or password. Last day, we had reached the maximum number of 100 participants in our virtual room on the topic, how to find your ancestral family in India. Please like and share our Facebook page. Thank you everyone. Ladies and gentlemen, be safe.